Hello and welcome to the Lost Holocron. As always, I'm your host, James. Above me is my co-host, Richard. Richard, how are you this week?
I'm telling I'm feeling good.
You feeling good? That's
Yeah.
good to hear. We've got some exciting stuff to go over. As you guys noticed, we weren't on last week. We took the week off for the 4th of July here in America. But we're going to kind of do a little recap of the previous week's episode up the top of each episode discussion, so everything's kind of fresh on our minds. But without further ado, Rich, let's dive into it. We got some news stuff to go over first. The first one I don't have anything of, but it was leaked on Twitter over the weekend that they are talking about doing a new Star Wars animated show.
I know everyone's going to hate me for saying this, but I still hope it's like something in the, the Empire's like Empower era. I know people want more of different eras, but like I want more like a Rex series or What Happened to Asajj. I want more Filoni type stuff, bro.
Okay. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I think if I had to pick like anything, I'd like to do maybe how Rex got to where he is in Rebels.
Yeah.
Just do like short 2-season show that covers the last time we see him in Bad Batch to that. And I think I'd be fine.
It'd be cool if they did something to kind of get ready for like the next set of sequels, like a little series to kind of like, bring Finn back kind of like that way. So that way, like, it pressures the actor to come back, and then like you don't just go in blind. You're like, oh, this is the villain. This is it. Something like small.
You just really want him back.
I do. I will stop. Like, I will never complain about The Last Jedi Rise, the sequels ever again. If he just comes back and makes it right, and I'll be like, all right, it's over. It's done. Like, just like hating.
Make him a Jedi, bro. Make him a Jedi. No, I think you're right. I think that'd be really cool to see, like a little cartoon bridging Rise of Skywalker to the new Jedi Order movie, if that's what they're going to call it.
Yeah. Cool if they have another Visions too. I know that's probably on the way. I really like those
Probably.
series.
Those series have always been really good. I'd like to see more Tales stuff too, but we've talked about that one before.
Yeah. Go get him.
All right. So the second thing I want to talk about is we got some news about Rings of Power this week. So Drama and Betrayal are coming to Numenor in the Rings of Power Season 2. So just kind of scrolling through here, it looks like there we go.
Do you know what
see more of the Isle of Numenor
is though?
What
is there was that one article that someone who worked for us wrote that was like #1 for like 3 months in a row. And like every meeting we went to was just like how the Silmarillion or some shit. I don't know what it was called.
Oh, the rights. Who owns what?
Yeah. That article like was on top forever. So let's have a fan base, not what you'd read online, but people do watch the show.
Oh, despite the haters, I really liked it. I was here for it the whole time. I was super excited to watch it week to week.
I'd watched a bunch. I don't think I watched the last 2 episodes because it started getting slow.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like it. Like, I didn't hate it. Like, I felt like it was not the same as like Lord of the Rings, but like I love the universe, so I want more from it. You know what I mean? So like it was kind of a welcome.
I'm gonna say for what they had to work with, I think they did a really good job. My only complaint is actually right here in this article. This dude always looks like a knockoff Jack Black to me.
He does.
But apparently we're going to get to see more of Numenor and the island itself, which is it's buried. Wonderful, because I have been reading The Fall of Numenor, Christopher Tolkien's last book before he passed, I believe. And that's all it talks about. It does like the geography of the island, wildlife, all that shit.
Yeah.
And it's been fascinating to read as the show came out. And I'm going to keep reading it into season 2 because I'm about where season 2 should pick up in the book.
Do you think The Lord of the Rings is the greatest movie trilogy of all time?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do.
I'm blanking on the rest. Maybe I'll come back to the week, but like I always come back to those movies because like they are kind of perfect. You know what I mean? Like you can't think of a flaw in the acting, the way they look. Like
it's hard to explain how much I actually love those And I've been so happy that they were like, yeah, we're going to try and do something else in the universe finally.
Yeah. I didn't hate the Hobbit movies. Like I really liked the first one. I liked
the first one, but you could have done that movie in 3
so
hours.
I liked the second one, but the third one I didn't like. It wasn't okay. It was okay.
But I don't know, man. From the sound of it, we're going to get a lot more intrigue. It seems like we're going to start to see the people of Numenor turning to the powers of Sauron. We're going to see Chancellor, now King Pharazôn, take a big role. And while, again, he looks like a discount Jack Black, fantastic actor in the role, I think.
I'm going to catch up with the last episode because I remember seeing one that was like this huge fight, and that looked dope.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think I got like sick, didn't watch TV for 2 weeks, and then just like forgot about it.
Well, you know, we are going to be doing Rings of Power Season 2 when it comes out, August 29th. Be able to hear us week to week and what we think about it.
I know, and you get two because you love it, and I'm like, it's all right. So it'll be honest. We're always about honesty.
Yeah. So, bad news: the Arkham Asylum series was canceled by Max. So, and this looked really good too.
DC just being a mess continuously. The fan base eating each other alive.
You remember when I said I was really hopeful that I was like, no, this time they'll get it right. They're gonna do it the right way this time. I believe. Maybe I was wrong. But
they cancel Young Justice again, so they're like on my shit list.
But Rich, maybe I'm right.
Oh,
so
sure.
Christopher Reeve's son is gonna cameo in the Superman movie.
Did you like the new outfit? Did you see the reveals and stuff like that?
I did. I think it looks like very 1950s Superman, like golden era Superman. So I'm not mad about it.
I like the design. I don't like how how people say like there's like the MCU-ification of the suits because it's got like the vest and the thing is connecting. Like if the whole suit just looked kind of uniform and not like it was put together, I'd like it. But I like the design. Like I don't mind the S, and I don't mind the trunks. Yeah. I love the yellow on the yellow symbol on the back of the cake because we haven't gotten that fucking forever. But
like I think it's a very interesting design that combines a lot of good elements of it. I'm not mad about it at all. I don't think.
I'm most excited for the actress who plays Lois Lane. She's like from the Marvelous Miss Maisel. I fucking love that actress, man.
Yes.
She's gonna kill.
Hard agree. Well, I think the last thing we have to talk about this week is Marvel, and I just want to go ahead and apologize to Marvel because I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
Trailer for Agatha All Along's out. I believe that this is what Agatha Coven of Chaos turned into, the show I
like fucking 15 names, bro.
And I quote, I said this at one point, I was like, yeah, it sounds cool, but who's going to want to watch that? And after watching the trailer, I'm going to watch that.
Yeah.
That actually looks so good.
I think like Guardians and like shows like, like the Peacemaker have proven that, if it's good, people won't care. You know what I mean? Because I remember being like, I don't want to watch some Peacemaker series. And then I was like, this is the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, I want to keep watching it. And seeing this, it kind of has a cool vibe because part of it looked like real horror. Like, there was like one scene with a monster. I was like, damn, that looks rated R kind of, And then it was kind of funny. And Catherine Hahn is insane. I love her as an actress. And I think Aubrey Plaza was the other one that's in there too. Like she has like a great look, so I think they'll have good chemistry because they've worked together before in Parks and Rec, and I can't wait.
I'm excited for this one, and again, I'm completely willing to eat crow here because I did not think I was going to like this. But you live and you learn. And
kind of serves as a de facto like sequel to like what happens to Wanda because they're obviously going to have to like explain. So we'll get a little more like post Multiverse of Madness kind of news. I'm
kind of excited for that too. Plus, I would think that this might bring us one step closer to the reset.
Yeah, this happened. Secret Wars. I can't.
Has to. But Richard, now it's time for me to learn. We're going to start with Revenge of the Pick. I'm going to put an image up on the screen. You're going to tell me what the question is. I'm going to answer it. We're going to discuss it. Sound good?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. What am I looking at?
All right. So if you had a choice, would you have an Aegon the Conqueror's show? Or would you have a series featuring Jon Snow that fixes the last season of Game of Thrones, and people would come back. Like the actors are coming back. Like it's what you want.
Okay, so we're talking about if they did not cancel Snow and made that.
Yep.
Or if I get
Aegon the Conquest.
8-episode miniseries, 10-episode miniseries about Aegon's conquest, because that is the ideal format.
Valerian, you know what I mean? Like both have good things you want to say.
Like, number one, I feel like they did my boy John dirty. Grant you, he didn't want to be king apparently, but those are usually the ones that do the best job. I'd love to see a show that fixes him. On the other hand, if you mean to tell me I can see Balerion the Black Dread burning Harrenhal, I'm taking the Aegon's Conquest show.
I know that would look, and it would kind of like a happier ending. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yes. Ali's right and beautiful, but like you need that Aegon's Conquest. But imagine because the Winds of Winter is gonna come out, and then people are gonna be like, "Can we make this into a show?" You know what I'm saying? People are gonna want that. I'm so
glad that you brought that up. I'm calling it now. Winds of Winter will be announced by the end of this year. I have a feeling.
I'm reading.
I want to believe.
Like I haven't read any other Game of Thrones book, but I've seen the show. I know where we're gonna lead up. I'm just gonna start reading that book and see which one's better because I have to know, and I can't have someone explain it to me.
I just got through the Red Wedding today.
Movie book? What's better, Red Wedding?
I think the show made a much bigger spectacle of it, which I appreciated.
Okay.
But man, the book is just so much worse because it's told from Caitlin Tully's perspective.
Yeah.
So you get her line of thought as she watches her last kid die to her knowledge. Because remember, at this point, she's like, I have Sansa, who's married Tyrion. Arya, they think, is dead. Brandon Rickon, they think's dead. So it's Sansa and Robb. And then Robb dies.
Yeah.
She does kill Walder Frey's grandson that's a slow kid that they made a jester, though. So, instead of his wife.
Doesn't she not even die? She becomes back as Lady something.
Lady Stoneheart.
Yeah.
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 But you're taking Aegon's Conquest too, I'm guessing?
If the Winds of Winter came out, the book came out, and I read it and it was better, and then they were like, we could do that, then I want that. But in that, you know what I'm saying? But in this situation where that probably doesn't exist, we don't even know when we're getting this book, Aegon's Conquest.
We're getting it by the end of the year. I'm willing it into existence. I've been reading The Secret again, and it says if you simply want something, you must speak it into existence. So again, the Winds of Winter will be announced before the year ends.
If that happens, you gotta read 100 pages and review the 100 pages type thing. Be like, all right, did you get to the page? I'm like, I passed it, but I'm there.
All right, what do we got next? What is this one?
All right, if you had a friend and they had never seen one piece of media from Star Wars, which one would you tell them to start with to get into it? You want them to get into it. Is it Rogue One or is it A New Hope?
My best friend has never seen Star Wars. Ever. Refuses to, despite me at this point, at our age. And if I was going to show him one of these to make him actually enjoy the franchise, I would pick Rogue One.
Rogue One?
Mm-hmm.
I think I would too. Just because if they like it, you'd be like, well, there's a sequel from 1977 called A New Hope and go right to it.
Well, I think even then, it sets up a lot more in A New Hope, so it doesn't feel as ridiculous, and you have to really suspend your disbelief the first time they're saying some of this shit.
Yeah.
But Rogue One strikes such a serious modern tone that I think if no one has ever seen Star Wars, it is probably a far better entrance than A New Hope, because A New Hope is a lot of movie to digest.
Yeah, I think you give those to the classic movie lovers. If someone loves 80s movies, like The Sandlot and The Goonies, be like, all right, we can start with A New Hope. You like that style of movie. But for someone who's 20 years old and lives in 2024 America, be like, all right, let's just watch Rogue One. It's more your speed.
Yeah. And then I believe this is our final one. What do we have?
All right, you have to keep the blue or the red.
What we have here.
This is a good one. This one was hard. I remember I posted this one a long time ago.
That's a good point, Allie.
Oh yeah, definitely. Rogue One is just probably the definition of what the movie is.
Yes. It's like the Hacksaw Ridge of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah. See, me, I'm biased, so I'm taking red. Just because Rebels is my favorite Star Wars. And then you got, Mando and, Empire.
This is hard. because
But you got
Empire
Andor
is
on
my
that.
favorite Star Wars.
Uh-huh.
Well, second favorite, actually. Phantom Menace reigns supreme, and it's
Did
not
people
on
vote-
either of these. So,
Did people vote on this week, or are we saving this one for next week?
let me. That's a good question. I should have pulled those up. Excuse
I
me
feel like
while I learned to host a podcast.
I feel like most people are gonna vote red because Andor is like so hit or miss with people. Some people call it the worst. I call it the best.
Yeah, I gotta go with Revenge and Andor on this one.
Yeah.
I love Empire, but Andor is so good as a show. And while I like Rebels, I really enjoyed it every time I've seen it. Andor kind of takes it there. That show is just a cut above.
Wow.
Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, blue, 67%.
Blue.
Blue.
I'm gonna stay here red.
And go back through the other two here. Aegon's Conquest, 33%. Game of Thrones, but they fixed season 8, 67% of the vote went there.
Because if they really would fix it, who doesn't want that?
And then, oddly enough, A New Hope. Which one you would show them first?
Nice. I like that. It warms my heart that people would still, because it's campy, but it's like it's good, you know.
Camp it is. It's so campy. But no. And speaking of Star Wars, let's talk about the Acolyte.
Do it. How'd you feel about that tall, angry Wookiee with a lightsaber, bro?
Bro, we're gonna get to that in a minute. So recap for me the last episode before this week's.
Well, they kind of did that split thing where last week was pretty much they went toward Osha dealing with the stranger Kamir's character, and she was literally getting seduced to Kamir and the dark side at the same time. And it's cool because she sees him and he's wearing a black shirt, and by the end of the episode he's wearing a white shirt, and like she really kind of like empathizes with him, and at the end of the episode literally even puts on his helmet because she wants to be totally cut off from her senses and feel just the force, something she's lost. And they kind of had a little B plot with I think we saw the Vanessa light whip, but it was just to like kill a creature, and she was kind of like
they got to see all the dead Jedi.
Which that was kind of gagged because people were like, I really wanted to see the Jedi. Well, you saw them, but they were dead, and it was kind of like Jackie's just staring at the camera, and it was like
that shot was horrible, dude. The one of yours.
Really good to this week because this week they had none of that, and this week you just had. I didn't like it. Like, I like this episode. I like this episode.
1 to 10. Where you put
1 to 10? I'd give it a soft 7.
All right. What about last week's episode? Where would you put that one?
I'd give that one like just because I really like the plot of May or like Osha and Kamir. I'd give it an 8. I really like that one. Like he was really good in the episode.
But you didn't like this week's as much.
I just felt that reinforced like my belief that episode 3 did not need to exist. Like a majority of the reason people did not like this episode is because episode 3 was really, really badly executed. It had that really cringe moment. And then, you show this episode and you're like, you didn't need the other episode. Everything that it foreshadowed, you could have just done better in this one, and it would have just felt a lot better. And then you still have 2 episodes left. Now you have 1 episode left, and they have so much stuff to resolve in probably like a 30-minute episode. Like the pacing in the series has been sus.
So, again, as somebody that really appreciates the movie that this borrows from in that respect, I'm going with like an 8.5.
Okay.
Loved this week's episode. Last week's 6.5.
Okay.
While I really liked some aspects of it, I thought that one was very slow. And I was like,
move fast, but I kind of liked it. But would you have replaced episode 3 if you could just do this episode earlier?
No.
Like even through flashbacks, like if you combine, remember how I said you should combine 3 and have 4 and have them going through the forest and have her remembering that?
So you remember when 3 came out, and I was like, I have to wait because there is going to be another part to this story.
Yeah.
And it might make the episode better for me.
Mm-hmm.
That happened this week.
I feel you.
Looking back, I think originally I said I'd give episode 3 like a 4 or a 5, somewhere like that. I'd say 6 now, like a solid 6, because this episode was the payoff from that.
But do you think at this point in Star Wars, with the way media is, we should be having 6 episodes?
No, I've said from the beginning that this show should have either been hour-long episodes or 10 or more episodes.
And like
Game of Thrones again knows what to do with an hour.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, they do. But like I'm watching the story, and I really did like this week's. Like it was paced a little better. Like, but did we really Did they really have to kill themselves? Like Indara really didn't do anything wrong. She literally did the best job she could with everybody wilding out. You know, Tobin, he was under control, and then nothing was really his fault, and he takes like a suicide pill. Like Kelnaka, I understand. He probably feels so guilty he has to exile himself.
There were no 6 to Andor episodes.
Exactly.
Those shows are definitely on 2 different planes, and we're going to talk about that in a minute.
But like, it's like even Saul, like yeah, you're like you messed up. But like, are you the big villain you think you should be? I don't think so, man.
So, I think one of the things about this that's so interesting to me is that each of them felt so responsible for doing it.
Yeah.
And felt like they had just done so horribly as a Jedi in that moment that they would rather die than face the truth on the matter. Like Torben literally took a vow of silence from that shit.
And like he didn't for one, his lightsaber skills, very nice. Cloak, look like Anakin in his prime, look real nice. And then this fight was probably my favorite part of the episode.
Dude, that jump gets me every time.
It would be cool to see a Sith Wookiee villain. Someone so strong like that.
Oh, what's crazy to me is in Legends, Wookiee Jedi were supposed to be really rare.
Yeah.
And I, for one, am really digging how many times we've gotten to see them now. And Kelnaka might be the best one. Also, I called the shit about him being a Mad Claw.
Yeah.
Nailed that.
And that's reinforcing the idea of I get why he wanted to go into isolation. But Indara, and this scene was really dope because, when you see him at first, you're like, those scars look very weirdly placed. Like, who designed that? And then you're like, well, you know what? If you did fight a Wookiee, it might be kind of fucked up.
Yeah. Also, this guy definitely looked like Tommen Baratheon in this episode. When he came on screen, I looked over at my wife and I was like, that looks like King Tommen.
Yeah.
And holy shit. Yeah, no. So it makes total sense to me why Kelnaka did that, regardless of him having that moment of weakness as a Jedi and getting corrupted.
Yeah.
Wookiees view using their claws very negatively as a weapon. Like they're a tool.
Yeah.
I
think
so his exile might have even had just that to do with it because he still had his lightsaber. He was still wearing his robes. Yeah, so that to me says that he felt like he needed to go into exile.
Yeah, Mad Claw was a term used by Wookiees to mark a dishonored member of their community. Wookiee culture places a high value on the use of their claws for peaceful, productive reasons only. Thus, any Wookiee who lashes out against another Wookiee or any other living being with their claws was deemed to be a Mad Claw.
Yep.
You think this is how everybody in the world hates Velma and Velma's a terrible show, but so many people watch it. They thought it was successful and gave it another season. Do you think that's this? People hate watching it? Or if that's
Well, I know we didn't really talk about the Halo show on here. But having seen both seasons of that.
Same.
I don't think that's the case here. Because while it's not Andor, it is good. I'd say it's better than The Mandalorian season 3.
Really? I see. For me, unless the finale is the greatest thing, and I think it's going to be a good finale, kind of ambiguous ending, and then to piss off the fandom, it's going to connect to you either the Emperor or Darth Plagueis, because I think that's where it's headed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But there just isn't enough time to resolve Venestra, May, Osha, the bad guy, all of their plots in one episode. So like I've
Well,
liked
no.
this season,
And,
but like I think they could have done way better.
well, I think Leslie Headland's even said that this has been like a 3 to 4 season show from the Outlook. So I think they're expecting a renewal, which they'll probably get.
You think they'll get it?
Yeah, I do. I'm not saying that this is, again, a 10-10. I would probably put it somewhere around like above Book of Boba Fett, below Kenobi.
For me, I think it's the last place series because I enjoy I'm not gonna rewatch the Acolyte again probably. Maybe like episode 5 with the cool lightsaber scenes because like that's a dope ass episode, no doubt. But like I've rewatched the Book of Boba Fett, like the finale, the couple first episodes of the Sand People, Kenobi. I won't rewatch the whole series, but I'll rewatch like the first 2 and like the last 2. You know what I mean? The middle 2 get kind of boring.
Mm.
But like I don't think I'm gonna rewatch this series too much.
I probably won't rewatch it until season 2 is coming out, which again, I have the firm belief they'll give it to it. First of all, this is the first time they've put the High Republic on screen. The show cannot fail. That doesn't mean that if Disney feels like it, they will not get new writers and a new showrunner.
I think they need to do that for
Halo really kind of proved that you can bounce back from a bad first season.
Yeah.
Because by the end of season 2 of Halo, I was really happy with the show. And I didn't care for season 1 that much. I didn't think it was awful.
It had like one and a half good episodes the first season and like 4 or 5 good episodes the second good season.
Well, see, I really liked the whole arc with the girl from jump. Like, I liked her character. So for me, there were quite a few good episodes in the first season, but I could see problems. The second season fixed a lot of those problems and managed to condense the storylines down to a point where they were more manageable.
I forget his name, but he's the guy who plays Halo's friend with the messed up arm. I like love that actor.
He's great, dude.
Yeah.
And like, I think the second season he was way better. The show looked way better. So I think it's possible, like, they walk away from this season having learned a lot and fix a lot of things. Because even in House of the Dragon, which I thought was a phenomenal first season, there were things that people complained about that they have fixed this season, like the wigs.
Yeah. There are people complaining a lot about this season, but they're doing it more, I think, for the changes in the story they were doing, like a lot about with this episode too.
We're going to talk about this one in a minute, but there is one thing. So, what do you think about Soul saving Osha over May?
I mean, for one, I hate this because, like, you know me, I hate the whole Jedi are like the kind of grave. No, the Jedi are the heroes. You know what I mean? And like every show that comes out, it's just like it paints them as like dumb and inept. And I'm like, like I don't see the Jedis as this as you're giving to me because that's a bad story. I see the Jedis like Kanan, like Cal Kestis, in better written stories that show no Jedis are heroes and will do anything to be a hero. You know what I mean?
Do you think that Soul was doing anything to be a hero? Because clearly he thought Osha was in a lot of danger.
I think, he could, just pick up 2 kids instead of trying to hold 2 bridges up if we're just writing a better story. And I think, like, they kind of just good sunned us where, like, because of what has to happen, they just kind of give it spoon feed it to us in, like, sometimes the worst ways. Because I think you could have left him saving her to be less, like, obvious because then it gets kind of, like, campy. You know what I mean? Like, when I saw them both on the bridge, I'm like, oh, he's going to let May go. And then it happened and we all laughed, you know what I'm saying? Because like it was funny, like, but if you do it right, it's not a funny moment. It's like like Bing Bong dying or something. It's sad actually, and I think that's the problem. Like the pacing, the way they execute certain scenes, it doesn't make you feel the way it's supposed to. You just kind of like, oh, this is okay, this is bad. I'm on my phone for this part. This part I kind of liked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least that's how like it was in like this house when we were watching it, and like. I love everything Star Wars usually.
I mean, I was pretty quiet during it just because I was like, okay, so he's going to let her go. And like the whole seeing the false narrative of it and then the real one really paid off for me in this one because of stuff like that. Like going up until this episode, I was like, no, Soul's a pretty solid Jedi. Like he's the good guy. And to see that even he's struggled in that, and
Well,
kind
but
of made
what
a big
you've
fuck
done,
up.
like you see a girl, she's running, she's scared. This person turns into a monster mist cloud. Like
I was going in the same as everybody else. I was like, oh, Indar is gonna have a hand in this.
yeah, and like even
And
her, like
she was like, we should leave these fucking kids alone. We should just keep doing our jobs.
yeah, and she feels guilty because she kills all the witches because she severs the connection. But is like why should you feel guilty? They were using your friend to kill your other two friends. Like they're not the good guys.
Yeah.
I like the scene. I like how they balance it because, like, for one scene, she's like, they marked her, and she's like, these are other people, these are other customs. We don't understand that, and that's dope. But another scene is like, hey, these people are trying to kill you. Like, you shouldn't feel guilty for like doing what you did, just because, like, on the slightest percent chance, like, she was gonna let her go. What about the rest of them? Just I don't know. It just like the whole scene was just kind of weird, and then like they all kind of like fell apart like confetti when she severed the connection. Like, I just feel like the ideas they do are kind of cool, but they need to be executed better.
I mean, I could agree with some of that. Like, I didn't, when all the witches died, I was like, oh, okay, so the Jedi didn't kill them then. Whatever. Like, it didn't hold any real weight to it like you would think it would.
Exactly. And these are people watching, but when the
On
dragon
the flip
died
side of that,
on
though,
the thing, how did you feel?
when she got stabbed and she was like, I would have let Osha go, I was like, oh, fuck.
She was actually the best one out of all of them. Like the two mothers didn't do a terrible job, but everybody else, it got.
I don't think they gave any kind of thought to like introducing you to those background characters for a second.
Yeah.
So that meant a little more. But
the whole fight scene was peak.
Here's what I want to know. We did the math before the show, you and I. And Acolyte costs $22.5 million an episode. Okay. Where's that? House of the Dragon was under $20 million an episode.
Bro, like I was like, because I came with this idea and I was like looking for pictures and I found them in like 2 seconds. And I was like, just look at the framing, the saturation, the way, Damon's armor looks real. Like Kelnaka's, garment looks like you could order that on like Etsy. And these are like two of the similar series, and that's what I'm talking about. Like,
all right, but let's not throw rocks on a glass house. Did you see Aegon's crown this week though?
I didn't.
On the dragon, it looks like it's made of rubber, bro.
I'm dead.
When it looks so bad.
I mean, like there's times where like you could tell the dragons aren't as perfect, but like the sets always look boss.
That's the costume though. Like directly, his helmet looks like it's made of rubber. Hold on. Because I was like, surely somebody on the internet has been talking about this, and I've seen people.
It's the
but
internet.
I do like the color correction and things. I think are a lot better in House of the Dragon.
Bro, just look at the pictures. It's so crazy. And I get like some of these are old sets and stuff like that because you get them from Game of Thrones, but like you really feel immersed in the universe. And I don't feel like you get the same effect in the Acolyte.
Oh, don't tell me I'm not going to be able to find a picture of him with that helmet on. Oh, thank God. Whew, I was sweating there for a second.
Like the guy in the chair on like fucking Ned from Spider-Man. Like, all right, go to the left. It's there.
Let's see here.
But like, I get like so excited every week to watch House of the Dragon, but I do not feel that way.
Like, look at that crown, bro.
That's actually the one scene that kind of looks kind of bad. It looks like he's like behind a green screen, like back in the day with Superman when he'd be flying.
Mm-hmm.
But R.I.P. Sunfire, bro.
Nah, he's gonna make it.
But still, he's all fucked up. And the wing got clawed up in the chest.
But any final thoughts on the Acolyte? What you want to see in next week's the final episode, right?
At least like a 55-minute long episode. Like,
yeah, I would like to see a longer episode. That's a fair point.
I think the plot at this point is a little foregone, but like I hope they do get renewed, and I hope they do get a new showrunner. because
I don't know. I maybe somebody to co-run it, because I'll say this about Leslie Headland. While I disagree with some of her choices for the show, she definitely knows her Star Wars.
yeah, I mean,
Like, she seems to have a very deep knowledge of the franchise and understand and appreciate it. And the story is interesting. Some of the stuff doesn't fit together real well.
yeah, like Star Wars, but both of us know Star Wars. We shouldn't be fucking showrunners. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. I think my ego would let me do it.
Like, I think I do honestly do a better job. Like if I was at Lucasfilm, like, and I sound super arrogant, but I don't care. Like, I get what makes good media, and like you just kind of have to give the people what they want sometimes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And this story, I don't think this High Republic story isn't what people wanted. We already have High Republic comics and things like that. Like from the get-go, it should have been an extension of that.
I mean, I'm interested in it, but I do think I'd like to see some more stories of Jedi just being the good guys. And I do think, like, part of me kind of went in looking for that a little bit, but we're in the late High Republic era, so I guess that's my bad for not realizing how close to Phantom Menace we were.
I don't know. I hate the Jedi or not. That like when I think of Jedi's, I think of like Luke Skywalker at the end of Return of the Jedi. Like I'm a Jedi, like my father before me, a good guy. Kanan sacrificed himself. Cal, like even Ahsoka, even though she says she claimed like just always on the like force of like, oh, I'm gonna do good things because that's who I am.
Yeah.
Not the Jedi are dumb and kind of arrogant. Like I hate that whole trope.
I wouldn't even say they're kind of arrogant in this one. Like Vernestra, maybe. I could see where you could get that. But like Soul doesn't seem to be the very brief moment that we saw each of them that did this thing. I don't really get that feeling from them. What I do have a problem stomaching is like Indara really didn't do anything wrong other than just be there, to be completely honest. Like that is the one that killed themselves that I'm like, I don't know about that. Now Kel Naka, I think dude just offed.
Yeah, I mean, like Saul, I get why you did what you did, and you probably feel guilty, but I don't think you did anything wrong. The actor who played Tommen, you know what I'm saying? I don't think he did anything wrong. Kel Naka, I don't think you did anything. Like you were literally taken over by witches. I get that you feel guilty, but it's not your fault. Like you didn't, turn to the dark side yourself.
Well, Kel Naka is the easiest one to understand for me.
Yeah,
because he did use his big old paws.
But like Indara, like you basically saved two of your friends' lives because they would have got murdered by a Wookiee with a lightsaber. Let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
It was not slowing down. She came in with the chair. Like to me, my soldier was like, all right, you can stop now.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, like Torben, I think you could say he feels pretty guilty for getting possessed in the first place. And then having his thoughts clouded by wanting to leave.
You just wanted
so
to
he's
go
like,
home.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to do that. Now, I think they all feel a little bit guilty for killing all them witches, but I'm excited to see next week's episode to see where we end up after this first season's over, because I do want to see more of this. Just because I think that Ocean may have a very interesting relationship, and now that they've kind of switched places, do you think that Osha's going to become a Sith?
I don't think so. I think there's a better chance of her like seeing it, getting seduced for a second, rejecting it, and then bringing her friend back or bringing her sister back. But I don't even know if we're going to be able to get that all in one episode because, they're all in separate places. It's not like the cliffhanger left off like episode 4 or 5 where they're together. And they're separate now. So, Soul has to bring May wherever they're going to go. And they're on this
He's
planet.
going to.
Is he good? But that's what I'm saying. Are they going to be like show up and they're there already, and that's just them in the episode? Is we going to have an extra? I mean, it's Soul versus, the stranger in the end. Like, I don't
That's
really
what
know.
I'm thinking it'll be.
I mean, I hope so, and I hope they don't just, just kill them off. Like, because if you, like you said, like if they're planning for more seasons, then I don't see how they would just be able to just kill the villain. You'd have to like kind of show us who the bigger bad is. Because if you are doing something with a Sith, there's 2, not 1.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening.
I hope we just get another dope lightsaber fight because that's been like the best part of the series.
I hard agree.
Yeah. And if he takes the like, I want to see like because you never see baddies with like two lightsabers, you know, and like that kind of fighting style. I think is so cool to watch live screen.
Yeah, and the way he does it, especially like not really using it unless he absolutely has to.
As long as you're not dissecting it on the internet, you know, like some of these people like to do. Like, no, that wouldn't make sense. That wouldn't make sense.
You can't slow down choreography and watch it and expect it to look good because it's choreographed. So it's supposed to look fast.
Yeah.
And
I don't think there's any movie that would survive that like kind of like lens. You know what I mean?
Dude, these people that slow down these shows to complain about them in the fandom, I could slow down Revenge of the Sith, the duel of heroes between Obi-Wan and Anakin, and find just as many problems.
Yeah, bro. You didn't have to like slow it down. Just think of that one part where they're spinning the lightsabers in front of each other. You remember that one part? That
Yeah.
Like one of them could have stopped and just did that at one point. Like,
I mean, there's the big thing to me though is like the lightsaber fights in this, like you said, have genuinely been some of the best we've gotten in the shows. I think.
Yeah.
100%. Like I think that maybe the like very brief one between Ahsoka and Anakin there in the Ahsoka show might be the only one that's been better. And that's more like the characters involved and seeing Hayden do his little trick again.
Yeah.
You know, just a bunch of stuff that you can't cash in on in a new IP.
I mean, because you know me, like I love episode 7. I don't really like episode 8 and 9, but the lightsabers were like dope in the Last Jedi. I thought, you know, I think they looked really cool. I like the fight scenes. I didn't like them in Rise. I felt like it was just like really boring to watch. But you know, the Last Jedi and Force, you know, the lightsabers. I think me and you discussed kind of look the best, and like you know, post Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, like I don't know. I love lightsabers. You're never gonna catch me being like, oh, we need less of this shit. You know, I want more.
Yeah, we need less lightsabers and more politics.
Yeah, you know. And I want a Duel of the Fates lightsaber scene because I feel like that's like the most underused song in the world. Like they used it twice and the entire saga, like the best song. Like give it to us again.
Yes, there you go, Rebel Radio. I want lightsaber battles every 10 minutes on my desk right now, Parker.
Yeah. You know, if I had to rank like the top 10 best episodes from like, you know, Mandalorian, Acolyte, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, all that shit, even though I don't like the Acolyte series and it's kind of like on the bottom for me, you know, that the one with the Jekki and Soul versus Khmer, that's in there somewhere, man. That's like, and that's like high up there too.
Yord, my sweet boy. The Yord Horde suffers again this week, seeing him dead. But I want to talk about a happier subject.
Without my authority.
Oh yeah. Best scene.
Best scene last ep.
Yeah.
Stu was so drunk this episode.
I know.
I don't believe.
Tylen's side.
Yeah, like
just.
Duke Custom Vividus Segiton Vivaisni.
We obviously know who paid attention in Valerian classes.
You know, that's on Duolingo.
Get the fuck out of here. I use Duolingo.
You can learn High Valerian on Duolingo, folks. You can also learn Klingon if you feel so inclined. No, best episode of the best scene of the episode by and far was just I can have to make a war.
Yeah, no. Like I love like this show's so good. Like every week it gives you what you want, even when it's torment, because like I did not want to see the dragons fight each other. You know what I'm saying?
I told you this week was gonna be crazy.
Yeah. Because now it's just like the snowfall of like all the bad things happen. Like season 1 was just like the setup. Now it's just like, all right, shit's gonna happen.
Yeah. I'm very, very interested to know what did you think of the episode overall?
So like I kind of like how me and you know, we have kind of different perspectives on this thing because you know I've never read any of the books, not one thing, you know what I'm saying? You've read a bunch of them. So like when I see like, you know, the TikTok discussions afterwards, I'm like, oh, they changed that, they changed that. So I'm interested to hear. But like one of the big things I saw online is people complaining that they're changing the characters, and that Rook's Rest was a tag team attack by the Greens, and not Aemon, trying to kill his brother, and that the show is kind of painting Rhaenyra as, like the hero, when in the books she sends him into an obvious trap, and she's kind of like at fault for that. And in the show, they kind of take away from that, where they're trying to give like Rhaenys as being brave. Now, as someone who's read the books, do you agree, and does that bother you?
So here's the thing with the book: the way that the book is told, it is not at all from the perspective of the show, how the show is told.
It's like
the books are a collection of histories, basically, written by different people. Like a Septon is just cataloging everything together neatly in a history of the Targaryen dynasty. It's meant to be like an in-universe book.
Yeah.
So that being said, I don't mind any of the changes, because they're doing things like, if you read Fire and Blood and you knew from the beginning that this is like told by unreliable narrators, this is a dude trying to put together this history as a political agenda. Like basically Aegon is always remembered as the king. Rhaenyra was queen for a year. And then you have the next one.
Yeah.
I'll not spoil that. But from the perspective that it's told, I could see how some people might be upset that they made these changes. Like, there are a lot of people that are Team Green out there.
I'm like Team like Black, but like I love Aemon, man. Like, that one clip you just showed, like I did not like him like last season. This season, I fucking love him. You know what I'm saying?
He's
like,
gotten so sassy.
Yeah, and like he's supposed to playing like a 16 or 17-year-old, like in the that's what how old the character is.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like no, for one, no. You know what I'm saying? Like you're a monster, bro. You're like Damon size. But I really like this episode because the B plot with Damon, like we were talking about how like the sound looks good. You know what I'm saying? With like the carriage, when we were like seeing his head fall off almost. And there's one scene where he's talking to the girl who's like the ghost, I guess. And then it kind of zones in, and he's like drinking and slurping, and he's just like looks fucked up, and then he's talking to the dude. Like everything about this episode is so good. Even the parts that aren't dragon fighting, like, are like just gripping and like done so well,
Yeah. And I mean, I'm really loving this idea of Daemon Targaryen encountering strong magic that he does not understand.
Yeah.
And it's also very interesting because, again, I can see the future. I know what's going to happen. So the way that this is getting set up for me is very exciting as a book reader.
I kind of like how they explain the curse, because like I can't like mouth it up exactly, but she said something like how Harrenhal was built with the trees, and then she mentioned like she's like, your bed is made from that. How are you sleeping, basically? And it's like a cool like explanation of like it's not just haunted for shits and giggles, it's because of this reason. I really like that touch.
Well, like one of the things that a lot of people online are speculating about is that they believe when Balerion burned the castle with King Harren the Black and his whole family inside and ended his line, if maybe that was a blood sacrifice to the old gods in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So those werewoods carry an extra strong power, even though they've all been cut down.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's very, very dope. Very excited to see it play out like that. But I mean, I don't know. I think my favorite part of the episode, though, was definitely the dragon fight. I've been looking forward to this since I heard the show was announced.
My favorite part was when Vhagar, he's like, not yet, and he's like a dog, like, and just with his head down, like, because they kind of gave each dragon like that moment. There's one where like Sunfire's like kind of resting his head on.
When he boops dear sweet Aegon before he goes drunk driving.
Like her part where she's like, we're going into battle. She kind of like talks to him real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And that part with Vhagar, like they're all very, very connected with their dragons. You know what I'm saying? And like, for them to go against each other, like she's going against like I think her daughter's former dragon. You know what I'm saying?
No, Sunfire's Aegon's cradle dragon. Oh yeah, Vhagar was her daughter.
Vhagar was like her like granddaughter, something. You know what I'm saying?
No, it was her daughter.
Was her daughter? Yeah,
her daughter was married too. That's right.
Exactly. So like she's going against that. There's that part of the whole fucking shit. Like it's fucked up, man. Like I was like, because you knew what's happening. You see the spoilers online, and then you're just like you're seeing, and like she just like looks back, and then the other one cries. You're just like, yo, fuck, this sucks. This sucks.
I will say, again, the sound designers just continue to hurt me week after week. Like you were saying earlier, we had the whole head sawing thing, the funeral scene, and that was also the director just being a real dick, where it would just cut to his head bobbling whenever the cart gets stuck. And then this episode with the sound of these dragons, when they get her, poor Sunfire indeed. And I'm going to put it back up here, Rebel. Traumatized.
Yeah, that was...
Although I will say the scene of Aegon drunk driving out of King's Landing all the way to Rook's Rest, very funny.
It makes me so sad. Sunfire's like, oh, we're going for a nice ride. No, we're not. Like...
I will say, I know that people are very upset that Vhagar doesn't come in and fight immediately. But I do like this change to the book. Or this change from the book to the show.
Yeah.
Because it really does feel like she thought she had it done.
Yeah.
Because it would make sense. Aegon's out here by himself trying to earn some glory. He's a fucking idiot. So, from her perspective, yeah, it made a lot of sense. Let me go ahead and whip this little shithead into shape, which she pretty much did.
Do you think the show's making Rhaenys and Team Black to seem more like the heroes?
I think they are right now. We will see what happens.
Yeah.
I think that by the end of the show, we will have a much more complete picture because genuinely, the Greens just keep committing war crimes.
Yeah.
But there's some stuff that Team Black does that I think will make them very unpopular for a while.
Yeah. I mean, they've already done some pretty bad things. It's like, hey, you have Daemon on your side. You're not like exactly the most innocent.
Yeah, but none of it's going to be Daemon doing it is the interesting part.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. That's all I'll say on that. You will just have to see. But I'm very interested to see, like, everybody's, the Blacks are so good now. But the last season, people were like, the Greens are too heavily favored.
Yeah.
It was a take I saw a lot. So I think that it's just going to be back and forth until we figure out who wins. And hopefully, neither Team Black or Green will be happy about it.
Nah, but I saw like clips from next week, and they have like the dragon's head cut off, and like they're like bringing it in, and it's like the rest of this, like there's a point where like Game and House of the Dragon kind of like it's like setting up, and then like something happens, and like the rest of it just kind of flows really fast. I think we're obviously kind of like hitting that point.
Well, this was episode 4, so this is the halfway point of the season.
Yeah, now it's going to turn out.
So I think, what do you think is going to happen in the next episode from what you've seen?
I think we're going to find out that the fate of Aemond, and I think people say he lives. He's just like fucked up. He has like
Aegon.
He has like a broken like rib and like kind of burnt a little bit.
Not a little bit.
Not a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah, like I mean, you're dumb, bro. Like you're the king. I don't understand. Like you're the king. Just stay there and just chill and like bang women and like drink wine. Like don't go on a dragon and try.
Funny question about that. Do you think Alicent's a bad mom?
I mean, I think Alicent has been a bad mom, but I think she had a bad father. So it's like, how are you going to be a good parent when you've never been surrounded by anybody good ever?
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, you're like, what? You're 16. I'm gonna go pimp you up to this dying king right now. Have babies. Bye.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I mean, I think that if she had reassured him, like, no, your place is here among your court, where people can see you. You're a symbol. You have to be strong for your people, and focus on that instead of being like, yeah, just don't fucking do anything, you little twat.
I mean, she's spend food. I'm like, if you listen to mommy, he'd have been fine. Like, hey, maybe if I just don't do anything, I won't die, and my dragon will be fine.
I also think a lot of that's on Aemon and Kristen for not being like, this is our plan.
But they're right to. Like, Aemon's.
I mean, this would be considered light treason, depending on the king. Like you should be telling him. He's supposed to know all of this.
True.
How do you think Robert Baratheon would have handled some shit like that? Do you think he would have been cool with it, or do you think he probably would have just banged someone's head against the table like Crispy did in season 1 to love?
Not if it was Stannis. Who did it?
Not if it was Stannis. I don't know.
If Stannis did it, he'd just get all mad and be like, I am the king. Fuck you. Leave me. Pussy.
Yeah. But I'm talking about, just...
Like they have like people in that universe, they're quick to kill, but if it's their own flesh and blood, they'll just, get really angry.
Well, there is no greater crime than kinslaying.
And I think we're gonna get a little bit more of Cole in the next episode, logically, from his
What
perspective.
did you think of him this episode? Are you starting to come around on him yet?
I never, and this is gonna be like kind of controversial, hated Kristen Cole because I always think, what would you do in that situation? Like he fell in love with the queen, she burned him. He fell in love with another queen. You know what I'm saying? Like he's banging highborns. He's the king of the King's Guard. Like, what choice does he have? Retire? He's gonna go be poor in King's Landing. Like, I can't hate him. You know what I mean?
You gotta respect the hustle.
And like in the first season, he really wasn't that bad. Like until like I think like episode 7 or like till basically the time jump because he was basically a protector Minera.
Yeah.
It wasn't until like he got burned and then he got all salty about it. And then Allison's the one who questioned him and made him like kind of confess. And then he was like, "Well, I guess you're my mother now." Like he's definitely a weirdo, but like, what are you gonna do? It's the Game of Thrones land.
That's true. I don't know, man. I've never really cared for him. I always thought he was kind of a dick. But man, if he is not proving himself to be very competent in the field.
Oh yeah.
Except when he got knocked the fuck out.
Because it's like we like the Game of Thrones, we have like Bolton, we have like
Tywin,
like the real Joffrey. Like I cannot in the right universe hate Kristen Cole as much as I hate those people.
I don't know. I think I hate him about as much as I hated Tywin.
I mean Tywin, okay, no doubt, but like Joffrey,
no.
Or like what was the first one I said?
Ramsay.
Like these are truly horrible people in this show. Like it's like you got to do a little bit more to like be hated. Like you're just kind of annoying, and you're gonna die anyway. Like I don't know how, I don't know when, but like you're dead.
You have to die,
and probably in a really annoying way. And now that like people hate you, truly epically on screen somehow. You know what I mean?
But another good example of an actor that plays a hateable character so convincingly, like Joffrey's actor, Jack Gleason, is actually surprisingly a very pleasant person, but was able to make Joffrey so hateable.
Yeah. What things do you think are gonna be changed this season? Like, because they obviously changed certain things. Like, do you think like there's something that we be like, you know what? I think the showrunners might be like, I'm gonna tackle this differently because it's kind of obscure in the book, or they don't want to be too connected.
Well, I think part of it's like you have to pick a side in it because 3 separate stories kind of telling this account, like not everything can be true necessarily. Which is why, again, I don't mind them changing it to Sunfire getting attacked first and then Aemon sweeping up with Vhagar to clean up.
Yeah.
Because it makes a lot of sense for him. He saw it as an advantage to himself, and he's a fucking psychopath. The only other things I'm curious about is how much of Aegon, like how bad it is. Because in the books, it's something he never recovers from. He's like an opium addict from that point forward, basically.
You think they'll change that so he's like kind of messed up and out of the game, but not like that?
No, I think he's done.
Done?
Like he will probably sit the throne at some point towards the end of next season for a little bit, maybe.
Does Daemon stay away from the action pretty much the rest of the season, you think? No? Comes back?
I think by the end of the season, the action is going to come to Daemon.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I heard something like that.
Well, just with
don't want to be apparently.
Now that they've captured Rook's Rest and kind of done away with most of that coastline on Dragonstone.
We got to get for next week. We got to get like a picture like of the map that they have. Be like, all right, so they're here. He's here. You know what I mean?
Yes, we can do that for sure. I know the geography of it well enough to get by. Probably.
That's why I loved the old school Game of Thrones intro, like being where like everything being built and where everything was in correlation.
Yeah.
And how the roads look. I thought that was like the coolest fucking part. Like I love that shit.
I don't mind the tapestry intro.
Meaning it's definitely better than the first season.
See, I liked the first seasons because it was the Targaryen bloodline the whole way down.
Yeah. This
from like Aegon to Daenerys, I think.
Yeah. You think Corlys? I think everybody knows what's like. They'd skip like the whole like we have to wait to find out the information thing, and everybody just knows at the start of the next episode.
So Rook's Rest is incredibly close to Dragonstone. Like King's Landing's here, Rook's Rest is here, Dragonstone is out here.
Okay.
So it's not a far stretch for the news to get. And since the next episode seems to start with Kristen and Gwen back in King's Landing to parade Melise off, I would say that, next episode Corlys is going to be on Dragonstone and very upset.
Did you see on like Twitter and TikTok and all that shit? Everybody was basically comparing Catelyn Stark to how she treated like her bastard, Rhaenys.
To how Rhaenys treated Alan.
Yeah.
I will say it was a very nice approach. I was not expecting her just to be like, oh yeah, your mom must have been very beautiful.
I know. Because she's so sad. She's like, I don't know what the man I love would just be like, nah, I'm done with you. Even for a night.
Yeah.
Like, her story was crazy. Like, she definitely, like, I kind of like, not even knowing what happens in the books because I haven't read them, knew she was going to die this episode. I was like, they're giving her a lot of attention right now in a weird kind of way with the music. And I think something bad is going to happen.
Definitely a very sad time.
Yeah.
But I am excited to see how the rest of the season plays out. You know, if I'm counting it right, I think by the end of the season, we see the fight come to Daemon.
I liked how the sword fell, and you see like Aemond pick it up, and it's kind of like has the prophecy written in it.
Yes, I did notice that. That was dope as shit.
Yeah.
And then Rhaenyra telling Jacaerys about it.
It's like bittersweet because it's so cool, but then you just think, oh, that just leads to Bran sitting on a fucking wheelchair, being the king.
I mean, I'm not. Again, I really feel like that is how the books will end. It will just make more sense in the books.
You think
the Winds of Winter will be out by the end of this year. And I
you really think he doesn't? So what do you think he changes from the book to the show? Not to jump from house to game, but I want to know because you've read the books. I'm interested in your perspective.
Are you talking about Game of Thrones, how I think it'll be similar?
Yeah, because I barely remember, but I kind of remember where everybody is.
So, look, all right, a lot of the stuff that happens makes sense. Like Bran being king, being an omniscient three-eyed raven, which he's going to be in the books. We know that much. That makes sense. And I think that the show just didn't know how to write motivation for Bran to want to do that. Whereas George probably will. Hold on. And I think Jon does go beyond the wall. I think Daenerys eats it because Daenerys is getting to that point in the books where she's done a few questionable things already. And, you know, they really hammer on that coin flip thing a few times.
So the book ends where like season 6 ends, right? Like they're coming to Westeros, or is it more than that?
No, she is still in Meereen at the end of the last book.
So she hasn't even.
Jon, it is just after Jon dies.
So Jon doesn't even come back. We just know that he comes back.
No, you end the book with him dead.
Jesus, bro. See, because when I watched,
you don't know who his parents are. Like you still believe it's Ned.
Okay.
Tyrion is on his way to meet Daenerys with Jorah.
Really? He has a lot to fucking write. No wonder this book hasn't come out yet, bro.
He might be in Meereen by then. I'm not sure. I haven't read it in a long time. This is why I'm rereading them now, because Winds will be out by the end of this year.
Because like the general consensus for most Game of Thrones fans that I talk to is that season 8 bad. Like, don't even talk about it.
Yeah.
Some people like me, we like the first 3 episodes, but for the most part, season 8 bad. I love season 7, but some people don't like season 7.
I like season 7 just fine, actually. It has one of my favorite episodes in the whole show. The
Bro, it's
the winter.
But for most people, 1 through 6, I think, is like where it's like untouchable. You know what I mean?
I think you'll find a lot of people that say 1 through 4 or 1 through 5 if you ignore the Dornish plot line. But I am totally fine saying 1 through 7 were excellent enough TV. They fumbled the bag at the end.
100%. So I always thought Daenerys was going to be the one who was the ruler and like the good one in the end. Like that's how I thought the show was going to end, because it's like, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't she just freeing slaves the whole time and just building her army that way?
But doing some wild shit with other people,
but
like burning all the cows' wives in the Dosh Kaleen, crucifying all of the masters.
No doubt.
Shit.
But like if we always say tax the billionaires, right? Like, isn't that what we're saying to do? You know what I'm saying?
I think what really made her mad was coming to Westeros where she had nobody, and then losing Jorah, Missandei. She had to kill Varys because he betrayed her. Also, the show left out an entirely other Aegon Targaryen that exists in the book.
Okay.
Who is also an Essos, getting ready to come to Westeros.
Yeah, there's so much about this world that like you don't know if like unless you like read the books, because books are like history fucking things.
They're so easy to read though. They're smooth as butter.
Really?
Like, each one of these bitches are 1,000 pages, and I'm already on page like 700 of the third book.
See, I have the
Started
book
reading
from
them in
my
May.
friend, and like they were like, "This book is so hard to get through," and I was like, "Really?"
The first three are the best, the easiest to get through. A Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons tend to drag. They're very long, and Winds will be out by the end of this year, so I'm going to suffer through it.
So for people like me who are kind of dumb, it's a Game of Thrones first, right? Obviously.
Yep. Then you have A Clash of Kings, then A Storm of Swords, A Feast for Crows, A Dance with Dragons.
So was that 5 in total?
Yes.
And they only got to that point in the book.
Yes.
Damn, bro.
Well, again, I'm in the third book, over halfway through, and I just did the Red Wedding, and it was
gonna need like
chapter.
1,000 pages minimum just to finish the last book.
Some people have wondered if it's going to be closer to like 1,500 pages.
Yeah, bro.
Like, I think the one I'm on now is over 1,000.
Yeah, because I always thought the book was going to end with like Bran helping Jon, and Jon and Daenerys being king and queen together. That's where I thought like the story was just naturally going, based on like the first 7 like seasons. Nothing was season 8. You know what I'm saying? Where else
You
was
think it has a happy ending? You weren't paying attention.
Why
It's
not?
no more true than Game of Thrones.
Then if it's not a happy ending, then the White Walkers just win. I heard one thing that in the book that they changed in things that like the dragons wouldn't go past the White Wall, and that's something that just happened in the show.
I mean, yeah, they didn't want to fly north of the wall in the book, but that's in Fire and Blood, and it's Dreamfire, I think, was the dragon, or Silverwing one. I don't remember, but it was Alicent's dragon.
So
Jaehaerys' wife.
Before we close and stuff, what's like the dragon count? Because they have like Sunfire is like messed up. We got Vhagar.
You have Vhagar,
and then there's one
and
more.
Dreamfire.
Yeah.
For the greens.
Yeah.
And then for the blacks, you have Caraxes, Syrax.
And then the ones at the
Hyrax, I think, is Jace's dragon's name. You have Moondancer is Bela's dragon. And then the wild ones, you have Sea Smoke, which was Laenor's old dragon. You have Vermithor, Sheep Stealer.
That's a cannibal one too, right?
And the cannibal, but nobody's going to ride that one.
All right. So the advantage is still somewhat blacks.
Yes.
All right.
Like even rider ready dragons, they have 4. Greens have 2, and one of them is Helena's dragon.
They can't even like go out. It's like, hey, you just lost the king. I don't think we should send the queen out there.
Well, I mean, that and it would literally be half of their dragons. Basically, they have Vhagar, and that's it.
They have the big gun, but he's proven his usefulness, man. He's already taken down anybody that's in his way.
So far.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, all these dragons are done because like, in 100 years, there are just no more dragons, except for the 3 eggs, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So the 3 eggs we saw in the episode that we missed, those are obviously Daenerys's.
That's what the showrunner says, but in the books, it's a very different story.
Yeah? Was it still 4? Because, like, even if it's Daenerys's, where's that other one go?
Daenerys's were the books, they were 3 eggs. The show, they're 4.
Oh, okay. So
I'm assuming the one that they put in the cinders they're trying to hatch, and it'll probably hatch.
Yeah.
And that'll be either Aegon's or Viserys, Rhaenyra's little kid's dragon.
I gotta like rewatch the last of Game of Thrones because I watched that one time and never did again. But like I can't even really remember how it ends. Like I remember certain scenes, like the council talking, which was so weird.
Sam becomes Grand Maester, Bronn's the Master of Coin, Tyrion's the Hand of the King to Bran, Jon goes beyond the wall as a punishment, Sansa becomes Queen in the North,
So dumb.
the Unsullied just leave and go to Noth.
So dumb. I did see one hysterical
You
thing
go
though,
back to Essos.
where like they put like the Breakfast Club type music to the end of like Game of Thrones, and they like wrote down what happened. And it was like Brom died a week later. It was like something stupid like that.
Which makes a lot of sense because he's inherited one of the most wealthy houses with no connection to it.
I love Brom though. He was the man. He was my favorite.
I think that's all the time we've got. We're well over an hour tonight. We will see you guys next Thursday. Same bat time, same bat place. But until then, remember to like and subscribe to stay up to date with all of our videos. Join our public Discord server if you want to keep the discussion going. And until then, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.